Not every video is about tech tips and complicated subjects. Sometimes we just want to talk bikes and our rides. Stay tuned. Welcome back, guys. Be sure to give this video a thumbs up. If you haven't already, please subscribe. Get the subscriber numbers out, attract maybe a corporate sponsor, get some stuff to give you guys for prizes. I want to do a little, some giveaways if we can. So got that out of the way. Subscribe if you haven't already, thumbs up. So this week I wanted to talk to you guys about some memorable rides. I have a viewer who commented on a past video. We got chit-chatting back and forth, and I asked him if there were any topics that he thought would be cool to cover, and he said, yeah, why don't you just talk, have a casual conversation about some of the more memorable rides that I've been on. And I thought, you know what, that's a pretty cool idea. Not every video has got to be serious and tech tips and all this other stuff. So, you know, I just thought I'd take a couple of minutes and talk to you about some rides that I've been on over my 20 plus years of riding Harley Davidsons. I think one of the most enjoyable rides was last spring, going to Myrtle Beach for Bike Week. It was just me. I packed up my luggage, hopped on the bike, and off I went. I rode for as long as I wanted to ride. I stopped when I wanted, where I wanted, for as long as I wanted. Didn't have to answer to anybody. Went to the hotel, stayed there as long as I wanted, went to the Bike Week stuff, did what I wanted to do, where I wanted to go. It was a really relaxing, enjoyable trip. Now, don't get me wrong. My favorite riding is when I've got my wife with me. I love to look in my mirror, see her in the back on her badass soft tail slim, looking cool. I mean, that is my favorite riding, okay? But every now and then, as you guys know, it's great to get out on the bike by yourselves and just clear your head. And that ride down to Myrtle Beach, and that week I was there, and then the trip back was just so, I don't know, just a great stress reliever. I really enjoyed it. I'm probably going to do it again this year. So a couple other memorable rides that we've done. Of course, the rides up on the Blue Ridge Parkway are beautiful. When we lived in New York, you know, we did the Adirondack Mountains, and I had never really done any riding in the Catskill Mountains. So we were about an hour and a half maybe north of Orange County Choppers. I'm sure you remember them from the late 2000s, you know, 2000 whatever. They had their show, American Chopper, on Discovery Channel. A lot of people thought it was fake, but we lived so close, we'd go to their shop all the time, and I did some rides with those guys. And, you know, Paul Sr. led a couple of them, and Paul Jr. led one, and they took us on this one ride I remember that really sticks out. Paul Sr. was leading it, and we met at their shop, and there was probably, I don't know, 40, 50 bikes. It started out police escorted, and they headed us out, and we went to the Catskill Mountains, and that's where the police escort left us, and we took off. And what was really memorable about this is we're climbing up the mountain. It was a crystal clear blue sky. It was just so enjoyable, and the higher up in the elevation we got, the cooler it got. It was just beautiful. And I remember getting toward the top of this mountain that we were on. I don't know the name of it. And we come around this bend, and I'm like, it took my breath away. These guys were hang gliding off the mountain and just soaring across the sky. It was the coolest thing I'd ever seen. And we were so far up. I mean, you could look in the distance. It seems like we could look over into Vermont. I mean, we were so far up. I don't think we could, but it was just, the view was spectacular. And to have this, you know, vivid blue sky with these hang gliders, you know, there was a red one and a yellow and green one, and it was beautiful. I mean, and that will always stick out in my mind as one of the more memorable rides that I've had. And, you know, the Orange County Chopper guys were cool. I know a lot of guys watched them on TV and thought it was fake and stuff, but we had some good times riding with them. My friend Steve Capuano and Pete Signorelli, we'd go down to the shop, and they would have get-togethers down there, and we hung out with them. We did another ride, I remember, with Steve Capuano. On the way down, we're heading down the New York State Thruway, and it just started pouring rain. And we're like, you know what, who cares? We're gonna go hang out with these guys and go on a ride. This was another Paul Sr. led ride. And this ride was particularly memorable because while we were riding, and when we got back to their shop, the Discovery Channel crew was there filming. And so that was kind of neat to see how that was all done. And I will tell you that the stuff that we watched, and it was quite a bit of time that we spent with these guys, it wasn't staged, it wasn't scripted, it was awesome. It was really neat to see how that all got done. So we had a good time on that ride. And other memorable rides, I think the most memorable rides are the ones that you just don't plan. You know, my wife and I hopped on, I don't know, it was probably 2-3 years ago, maybe. We hopped on our Harleys, and we just started headed out toward Wilkes-Barre, and going up this road, up 421, this twisty turning highway. It was really fun. And then there was a sign, Blue Ridge Parkway, which we hadn't been on. And I'm like, this is so cool. We hopped on, and man, again, the views are just spectacular when you're up in those mountains. And we didn't plan that. It just happened. And it was just beautiful. And I'm looking forward to doing some more of that. Since that time, we've gone up every year, at least once or twice, sometimes more. I mean, it's right in our backyard. Why not? I mean, it was really, really a beautiful ride. You know, we've done some toy runs and some charity rides. We did one with a motorcycle club, local one. They did a toy run a couple of years ago. We did with them. That was cool. It was police escorted, and those are always fun. We hopped on 485 is a big highway here. It goes all the way around the entire Charlotte area, and it was neat being police escorted, you know, on this highway. That was a fun ride. Of course, twice I've done the Bikers with Boxes ride for the Billy Graham Museum. It's part of Samaritan's Purse, and they gather up toys for kids nationally and internationally that normally wouldn't have a Christmas. And we just did that this past Christmas season. That was a great ride. You go on this really cool ride. You end up back at their place at Billy Graham Museum, and we took a tour of the facility, and Chick-fil-A provided lunch for us, and it was just a really good time. Probably there had to be 400 bikes in that parking lot. It was just really cool. So that was a good ride. And other than that, I'm not a big fan of leading rides. I like to sit back and just kind of relax and chill. But leading rides, I've had some experiences. Knock on wood, I haven't had anybody get stranded or injured on any of the rides that I've led. So this year with the Hog chapter, they want me to lead some rides, and I said, yeah, you know what, I'll do that. I picked out a few places that we're going to do locally, and I'll lead those rides. And if there's anything memorable, we'll talk about that in an upcoming video. One other one I wanted to touch on really quickly before I head out is that a few years ago, I had just gotten my wife her first motorcycle. Her first motorcycle, if you hadn't heard from other videos, 2015 Yamaha V-Star 650 Custom, which is still here in the garage. My son's going to be riding that when he gets his license. But she'd had this bike maybe 3 weeks and had ridden it maybe 5 times. I don't know, not that many times. So this meetup group, I don't know if you've seen them on social media. There's like this, they're called Meetup, and they have little groups based on different types of hobbies that you have. And I hooked up with this Meetup group that was into motorcycle riding, and they were going to do a ride to a town called Saluda, North Carolina. I had never heard of it, didn't know where it was. So I asked my wife if she wanted to go, and she's like, sure. She thought she could do it. You know, she'd ridden a few times, was really getting the hang of it. So she hopped on her Yamaha 650. I hopped on my bike at the time. My son hopped on the back. He was probably 12 years old, 13. So he's sitting on the back. We go meet up with these folks, and the ride leader is discussing what we have in store for us, what this ride is going to be. We're going to stop at a barbecue joint when we get there. But he said, we're going to be going up this mountain, and there's some twisty turns that you got to be aware of. And we're like, oh, okay. My wife thought she could handle that. And I knew even with my son on the back, I knew I could handle that. Well, we start riding, and everything is going cool. We're going down these nice, I wouldn't say twisty, they were just like just some sweepers, you know, real relaxing. And then we came around this bend, and if you don't know what a switchback is, come on down here and check out this road. It was, you went this way, then it cut back this way, and you zigzagged all the way up this mountain. And I'm freaking out because my wife is a brand new rider. She's in front of me, so I'm trying to keep my eye on her so that she doesn't go off the road. I'm trying to make sure I don't go off the road and injure my son. I wasn't expecting this at all, and I got to give my wife all the credit in the world. She did a great job. She went around those turns like she'd been riding for 10 years. I mean, she did a great job, but we zigzagged all the way up, and I remember thinking to myself, it was awesome. It was fun, but I'm like, man, coming down is going to be tough. It's going to be a challenge. But fortunately, we went down the back side of the mountain, and it was there were no switchbacks. It was much easier to ride down. But that was really memorable. Just keep my eye on her, paying attention to what I was doing, and enjoying the spectacular view that we had going up these beautiful mountains. I mean, once we got to the top, we found this cute little town with some storefronts, and we had a barbecue place we went to, and the view was beautiful up there. So it was great. And I'm really glad that I didn't know what it was like, because if I had known that all those switchbacks were going to be in front of us, we may not have gone, because she was an inexperienced rider and I had my son, so we may have said no. So I was glad we didn't know about that because it turned out to be a really great, memorable ride. What memorable rides have you guys had? Comment down below. Let me know. I love reading. Some of you guys leave comments that are huge. I love that. I love reading some of the stories of how you got into motorcycling, how you got into Harley Davidsons, and talk to me about some of the rides you've gone on that have been memorable, some of the famous people you might have met. I love that kind of stuff. It's kind of cool. But yeah, comment down below. I'd love to hear about it. And rally season is just around the corner. I'm putting together a little trip maybe down to Myrtle Beach. Like I said, I'm probably not going to go to Daytona, but I'm probably going to go to Myrtle Beach. So I'm going to probably do a video about rally season. There's some smaller rallies that a lot of people don't know about that are really cool. So I'm going to mention some of those in an upcoming video as well. So, hey, listen, it's been great chatting with you guys. I look forward to it every week. And please give the video a thumbs up. As I said, subscribe if you haven't already. Thanks for coming along for the ride. I'm having a great time. Talk to you next week.